To make your own world border, you'll want to start by setting the center of the world border to your current location. You can do this by typing /worldborder center, then entering in 2 tildes. This will set the center of the boundary box to where I'm currently standing. You can change this later, but right now I'll just be using my current location. I'll enter in world border set to set the size of the world border, and then I'll enter in a number here to say how large I want the world border to be in width. So right now with 10, it'll be 10 blocks wide, which is 5 blocks away from me on either side. Press enter. As you can see, the world border has shrunk to be 5 blocks away from me on either side, 10 blocks wide total. If I want to increase the world border, I can do so by simply increasing the number. Next, you can enter in another number here, which will be the amount of time that the world border shrinks or increases for. So if I want the world border to go to 20 blocks, but I want it to happen over the course of 2 seconds, I can put a 2 here. Press enter, and over the course of 2 seconds it increases. If I want to change the world border on a certain value, so right now it's at 20, if I just want to add a block, I don't have to do the math in my head, I can just add 3 blocks and say over the course of 1 second. It increases for 1 second. I can also do a negative, so I'll decrease it by 10 over the course of 2 seconds. You can add all sorts of values here. Just make sure you keep in mind what each value means. The next thing you can do with world borders is modify the world border damage, amount, or buffer. I'll start by explaining the amount. The number you put here after amount is the amount of damage per block that a player takes when they're outside the border. So I've already got it set to 1, I'll just press enter. This means that if I'm 1 block outside the border, then I'll start taking half a heart damage per second that I'm out of the border. I'll just go into Game Mode Survival and show you. As you can see, when I'm 1 block out of the border, I take half a heart damage per second. The next thing you can modify is the buffer. Let's do world border damage buffer. This is basically the amount of mercy distance that a player has from the border. So if I set this to 10 blocks, then give myself an ender pearl and go into survival again, and I throw the ender pearl out, you can see that I'm not taking any damage here. Let's see, I'm 1 block away, 2 blocks away, 3 blocks away. As soon as I step 10 blocks away out of the border, so I exceed the 10 block buffer, I'll start taking damage like it normally would be. So this means that the world border's damage spot is right here at the 10 block buffer. If I'm closer than 10 blocks out of the border, I don't take any damage, but as soon as I step out of the buffer, I start taking damage. So if I set the buffer to something like 1, then I won't take any damage when I'm 1 block away from the border, but as soon as I step away, I start taking damage. The final application of the world border is just a little thing called the world border warning. You can access this by doing /worldborder warning and then distance. This is the number you put here will just be the distance that the player has to be away from the world border while they're inside the world border before they get a little red tint alert around their screen. So if I set this to 20, when I get within 20 blocks of the world border, I start getting a reddish tint on my screen. It's kind of hard to see, but if you're playing in a hardcore world or a ultra hardcore world where the border shrinks, an easy way to alert players of when the border is getting near is by setting this to something like 50, and they'll notice the red tint coming on their screen and know to run from the border. Thanks for watching. Please consider subscribing to the channel or checking out the channel